Well, hello everyone. After a little sabbatical, welcome back to Cue It Up with the Q Brothers. I'm John Quattrucci.
And I'm Ralph Quattrucci.
I missed those fingers, Ralph. I missed that little thing going.
You forgot my little shtick.
Yeah. Well, Ralph, you actually just got back from being here for the weekend,
That's right?
We got to see you over the weekend, so we had a little real FaceTime, not on the screen.
Very exciting for you guys, I think, actually.
Oh, I cannot begin to tell you how exciting it was for all of us.
Yep.
Did you have a good time?
We had a great time, yes.
Good. And your kids had a good time?
They did.
It was great to see them and how tall they're getting.
What's that?
Yeah. I can't get over how tall your kids are.
Very tall.
A lot taller than the last time I saw them.
Yep.
And we went golfing, right? Mm-hmm. We went golfing, and you went.
I went golfing.
You went golfing, and you had a really good time.
My last putt off the hill.
You did. You did end your round with an unbelievable putt downhill green. He was up on the slope, and I have no idea how he did it, but he put it right in. And by the way, if he missed it, it would have gone 30 feet down the hill.
No
so
way
it was
I
quite a way
miss
to end his round.
No way I was going to miss it.
No. And
yeah,
it was a little different than Sligo golf.
Oh my God.
Is that what you call it? Sligo?
Sligo.
I want to make sure I say that right. But it was a lot of fun. It was great to see you. And Mom and Dad were thrilled to see you.
Great.
You are the apple of their eye. And they couldn't stop talking about you all day yesterday after you left.
I felt it. I felt it the whole way home.
Yeah. And did you have a nice, well, you didn't, I don't think you did anything for Easter, did you?
I drove home from Massachusetts.
You drove home. Oh, yeah. I heard you had a 12-hour drive.
We did. We dropped my daughter off, Bella, in New York City at her new apartment.
Manhattan, right?
In Manhattan. And then as I was going home, I remembered I have a friend who lives in southern New Jersey. And I figured I'd just take a little 20-minute jaunt and go visit him. And I visited him, and it was nice reconnecting with him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So why did it take 12 hours?
We stopped in New York City, and then I stopped in New Jersey for probably total of another 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
Oh, I see. Okay. But it wasn't traffic or
Not
anything.
at all. No traffic.
Oh.
Yeah, I wanted to hang out in New York City with Bella. We got some pizza down there. She's in a great location. They shoot a lot of TV shows on the street she lives on, and it's like a college area. It's great. And
Is everything open?
Well, restaurants are open like they are. You have to take it with
They
you.
are.
You can't. I mean, you can.
You can't eat in the restaurants.
Not you can, but it's separated, and they got outdoor seating. But we took it to go.
Okay.
Went back to the apartment. And then I visited my friend in New Jersey, Vineland, New Jersey. I think not the greatest place in the world, but nice to visit him.
Well, we certainly don't want to alienate our fans in New Jersey.
Well,
so let's be careful.
They're the
with that.
gateway to Atlantic City. So
there you go.
It's about a 20-minute, 30-minute ride to Atlantic City from his place. So there's that part of it. And it was actually
nice.
It was great seeing him. I'm glad I got to see him. So
Well, good. And the other thing we did while you were here, we're not going to talk in great detail about this, but the last movie I saw in a movie theater prior to the pandemic was I saw the original King Kong, the 1932 King Kong, in a cinema here. And over the weekend, I went for the second time in a year, actually more than a year, to a movie theater, and Ralph went and his kids went, and we saw Godzilla versus King Kong. How's that for irony? And for me, it was wonderful being in the theater, and it definitely was a movie to see in the theater.
Okay.
For me. I'm not speaking for you, Ralph, but the sound, the images, it was just great. Now, we don't have to say anything about it because our other podcast, Stream Quest, we are going to talk. Oh, wow. And we're introducing our new logo for Stream Quest on this show. I wasn't expecting that.
I'm using 2 logos now. It's great.
Okay. So what we're going to do is, instead of talking about that now, we're going to wait for the Streamcast podcast, because Drew, I'm sorry, what did I say? Stream Quest podcast.
Oh my God.
Drew,
do I need to show you here?
Streamed it.
Here it is. There, Stream Quest.
Okay. All right. Enough promotion
Quest.
for that
See
show.
That?
Drew actually watched it streaming on HBO Max, and Ralph and I watched it in the movie theater. And we're gonna
right. And then I came home last night and I watched it at home.
You watched it? Oh,
I wanted to get a contrast.
You didn't like? I mean,
No,
I didn't get the impression you didn't like it the first time.
Trust me, I hated the movie, but I wanted to see what would be different.
Any difference?
Yeah, that's all.
So I assumed you watched Justice League again too?
No, I watched that. Okay. Actually, I watched it backwards. Justice League. So,
but we're going to talk about that.
These are what I do for the show. So, yeah.
Okay, and when the Stream Quest show drops, we'll add a link to this podcast so you can go directly to it. So that's for another time.
In case you don't know the name, it's Stream Quest with 2 Q's and a Drew.
We better promote Cue It Up on the Stream Quest show, okay? So you better be prepared.
You know what?
For
Cue It Up sells
all right?
itself. That's what's amazing about it.
That is a pretty fancy logo. So Ralph, this week, look, we're doing a bunch of podcasts, and they're all movie related.
Right.
And this one, is movie and TV related. Although now and then we go off on a completely different subject.
I thought this was life related, and just we happen to like.
Wait, no, it's both. It's both. We do a lot more of the life stuff than the movie stuff. So for this week, and we haven't done one in a while, because I know that In the Red Productions is just. It's expanding at the growth rate is unbelievable.
It's like a virus.
Yeah, so we haven't had a chance to do one. And as we talked over the weekend, I said, I really want to do another one, Ralph, because our fans are just, I keep getting these emails and texts, and people just,
it's funny because
where's the next one? Where's the next one?
Mom and Dad didn't mention it once. I did hear we have a cousin who loves our show.
Jeff
Vidal.
He saw StreamQuest, I think.
Oh.
I think that's the one he watched. And he wants to see more of us. So I said, well, check out
Why
Cue
would
It Up.
he look at us? I mean, come on.
Well, there you go. See? Mm-hmm. So this week, I wanted to try something different. And I don't know, this probably won't be a long one. But I'd like to talk about music and the music that you're into and the music that you like, because I don't really know that about you. I know a lot about you, but music is not something I know. I know you like the 70s, but I'd really like to get specific, not... I mean, you can talk about eras of music if you want, but I'd like to get real specific with artists. And I'd also like to talk about the first concert you ever went to and any story behind the first concert you ever went to. So, free flow of ideas. Talk to me about music. Give me an artist that you love. Your favorite artist that, if you could only... And I know some are going to be probably the same, but you and I... Go ahead.
I am 100% stuck in the 70s. I am 100% stuck in the pop 70s. The recorded...
So early 70s.
Pop 70s. Throughout I like disco too. So when I say 70s, I mean, I used to record off my radio to a cassette, and I'd have... Yeah. I didn't do mixtapes for women and all. I didn't do that kind of stuff. But I did record. As a matter of fact, the graduation gift that Mom and Dad gave me for high school was a beautiful little clock radio that I could record off the radio. Probably cost them $29.
Oh, it had a cassette deck built in?
Yeah, $29 back. That's probably, in this day and age, $34. But I did record all to cassettes. Now, so I'm 100% stuck in the 70s. I used to do a ton of work for Time Life, and my favorite collection that I worked on was the 70s Music Explosion with Barry Williams from the Brady Bunch, where he was the host. And it's just, and I have Sirius XM radio, and it's stuck on the 70s. Now, the funny thing about this is, as I'm driving on my 12-hour trip, my kids are singing 70s songs, which is just blows my mind. Like, I listen to their rap and all the stuff and the hip-hop that they're doing, but every once in a while they ask me to turn on the 70s. They love Jim Croce. They love Harry Chapin's... You and I listened to it the other day, the Cats in the Cradle. I mean, and I am stuck in the 70s to the point where I now collect cassette tapes. I collect CDs. I'm using all physical media, and I separate. So I have a CD player, a carousel that has 300 whatever, and the 70s is all just, it's all the 70s collection are within the 70s. I have 80s collections in the 80s. So I'm stuck in the 70s. Growing up, my first concert that I went to was the Beach Boys at the Providence.
That was your first concert?
Yeah,
Where?
Eighth grade. I think the Providence Civic Center, which is now Dunkin' Donuts Pavilion or something.
Yeah.
That was my first. But every year I would go and see Billy Joel and Styx, usually in the same weekend. That was a huge weekend for me. And growing up, Billy Joel was my favorite artist. And Styx was my favorite group at the time, but I was heavily, our brother Steve and I were heavily into Queen before Queen was even popular. I think we had Night at the Opera.
Night at the Opera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The album. But I'm stuck.
And then he got it on CD.
Yeah. Well, he had the first CD player that
early
$400
right.
Anchor is huge.
Right.
But I'm stuck in the 70s. I'm not, I like current music, some of it. Bruno Mars.
Yeah, but Beach Boys isn't, it's 70s, but it's more 60s than 70s.
Well, but I started listening to them in the 70s, right? So, and, they came around. So, 8th grade, what I don't know what year that was. So, but my whole thing. Now, I just ordered, and I just got it off eBay. Let me cut to this wide shot here. I just got this.
Paper Lace?
Okay. Now, the reason I bought this is because Paper Lace, of course, their big hit. You know the big hit, The Night Chicago Died.
I don't even know who Paper Lace is. Oh, that's them? The Night Chicago Died.
What I didn't know was the song Billy Don't Be a Hero, which is Bo Donaldson. We know it with Bo Donaldson. These guys, it's a cover of this. The Paper Lace did it first.
Oh, really?
Yes. And there's
Billy, don't be a hero.
And there's a couple other Hitchin' a Ride, stuff like that. So not only am I into physical media, but I'm stuck in the 70s. There's no doubt about it.
Wait, are you playing cassettes?
Yes. Oh, in my house.
I mean,
listen. Listen. I bought an iPod at a thrift store for $5. Okay, an old iPod.
Yeah.
The beauty of this is whoever owned this before I got it was. It might have been me in a time warp that I gave it to a thrift store and I went and
you mean it had music on it?
Had tons of music, and it is loaded with Billboard 70s from 1970 to 1979, and it's all I play. So I have an iPod play. I got iPod players. I got.
Well,
CD
I'm confused.
players.
So when do you listen to your cassettes? I don't get that. Why do you even listen to them?
It's just kitsch. It's just I love physical media. I like Laserdisc players. I like.
Well, I know, but I mean, you don't have it on CD. You don't have that.
Listen, I got an Alexa. I go, Alexa, I gotta say it quiet. Play XM70s on 7, and she just will stream all day long. But no, there's something about physical media that I love. And yesterday, my buddy, I went to New Jersey. He takes me out into the shed of his. He's a bit of a hoarder himself. And he handed me a bag full of just cassettes. And who knows what's on these things? I have no idea. There's some Squeeze. I got Squeeze. I got a couple other ones. But I may have some.
So do you have something that sounds good to listen to tapes?
What
are you listening to them in?
What sounds better than a cassette player? I don't understand. What do you mean good?
No. I mean, you can have a really nice cassette deck, right? That you hook up to your stereo system, like we all used to have.
Stereophonic sound?
Well, I don't know. What are you listening? What are you listening to the tapes on?
I have a receiver that's got a CD player. It's got a cassette player. It's got.
So you have a cassette hooked up to your stereo system?
Yeah, I have a mini disc. Mini disc player.
Oh yeah, I've got one of those too.
I got a mini disc player.
Those
that
are
I
awesome.
record. I have albums.
Love those.
I even have a turntable. And if it's a good album, I will record it to the mini disc player so I never have to put the album on again. Because I do love the scratchy sound. And I like to capture that forever, which the mini disc will do.
Does it sound the same on the mini disc as when you play it just on the turntable?
Yeah, it's all scratchy and stuff. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the mini disc captures the essence of the...
Those are coming back. Vinyl's coming back big time.
Vinyl's been back.
It's
been... Listen... You go, there's record stores everywhere now popping up, but that's been years coming. That's been years. That's not new. Cassettes, people are starting to collect cassettes again, which I didn't know about, which amazes me.
I used to make all my own tapes. I used to get the really high-end tapes and record all my albums on the tapes.
That's what I mean. And,
I always did that.
That's what I remember as a kid recording off AM radio and playing. And the other thing I've been collecting is K-Tel albums.
Oh, yeah.
And I have a ton of those. And those bring me way back. So I'm in that generation. I've never left. I'm stuck in it. I don't understand new music. I mean, I like some of the new stuff. Like I said, Bruno Mars, I just think is fantastic. But I'm just stuck in the 70s. I'm a 70s guy. And
so you're pretty much anything in the 70s for the most part?
Any pop, sure. Pop. Yeah.
Well, you say pop. I mean, disco isn't pop.
Okay.
Right?
But the Bee Gees, disco is dance music, 70s dance music. Donna Summer.
Yeah, I hate disco.
How can you hate disco?
I hate disco. I love early 70s. The bubblegum pop.
That's what I'm
Bobby
talking about.
Sherman, the Partridge Family,
that's really
Monkeys.
That's
I
really
love that. But when you got to disco, yeah, I mean, everyone listened to Saturday Night Fever because everybody had it, but I was no fan of disco at all.
Well, that's too bad because it's some good music coming out of there.
Yeah, it was like Chinese food. As soon as it went in, it went
That's
out.
not true. That's not true. But
no, for me it is true.
Okay. So
yeah.
Okay. What's your? I go ahead. I have a prediction.
Well,
but.
you went genre. I mean, that's tough because like I listen to the most like you talk about Alexa, right? When I'm at home, I listen to either Frank Sinatra station, which plays Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, that whole, including like Michael Bublé and Harry Connick. You know, they're part of that. I love that music, and I listen to the '60s. I used to listen to '50s music because if I was to put number one on my list, it would be Elvis, obviously. Anyone who knows me knows that. And I've always listened to Elvis since I was a kid. So I used to listen to the 50s a lot, but I don't listen to the 50s as much anymore. I like the 60s because the styles of music from the early 60s to the late 60s was so different. You know, you got early 60s was a continuation of the 50s. Then you had the British invasion. Then you got into the whole drug culture with that kind of music. So it was just such a wide swath of music. So I really love the 60s. But I think I was born in the wrong era because lately I've been listening to Glenn Miller Orchestra all the time, and Rosie can't stand it.
Well, that's because.
But I love that music.
You have such an old. You're like an old man.
I do have an old soul. I like old movies. I love old music. But I love like the first concert I ever went to was Billy Joel at Boston Garden. And my funny story about that is I went with a buddy Andy and another guy named Jeff. We didn't have tickets. So we go there, and Andy's going to get tickets from a scalper. So a guy comes over, and he says, I think it was $25 a ticket. And they were really good seats. So Andy says, yeah, that sounds good. Another guy comes up to us, and he says, hey, I'll give you better tickets for 20. Soon as he said that, the first guy absolutely flattens the second guy, punched him straight. I've never seen that before in my life. Like cold cocked him. The guy goes down, blood everywhere. And the guy screaming at him, how can you do that to me? How can you? My buddy Andy turns to the guy on the ground with the blood. Can we still get those tickets? And we got them. 3 tickets, $20 a piece. They were beautiful seats. But that was the first concert I ever went to. And that was either 83 or 84. So I never went to a concert in high school. Now, I've seen Billy Joel 6 times. I'm a big Huey Lewis on the News fan. I've seen him 6 times. One of the best concerts I ever went to was in California. A buddy of mine used to get tickets to this amphitheater, and he wanted to know if I wanted to go see Lou Reed. And the only Lou Reed song I know is the one, and the Color Girls say, do, 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 do. You know that song? That's the only one I knew. I said, well, I'll go. We went. It was amazing. It was an incredible concert. It was a rock and roll show. It was wild. And I didn't know any of the songs. And I also went with this same guy to Bob Hope. I saw Bob Hope in concert in California. And him and I were the only people under the age of about 68. But it was awesome. And I can say that I've seen Bob Hope. I don't listen to any contemporary music. In fact, when songs come on, I have no idea who sings them. I don't know them. I don't like rap. I don't like hip hop. I think Justin Timberlake is really talented. I think, to your point, Bruno Mars is really talented. But I just don't listen to it. I don't listen to any top 40 stuff. I don't listen to dance music.
Well, that's what
my stuff is.
Yeah, but my kids, I don't like that stuff either. But every now and then I hear something that one of them's listening to that kind of catches my ear. Bella's got a few that I have, I'm not going to say I'm fans of, but, it's I'm not completely shut off. Some of the stuff is just out of control. And I don't know why they like it, but again, I guess that's generational and everybody does that.
Yeah.
Whatever. The worst concert I ever went to, it wasn't the worst, but it really made me sad, was I went and saw Meatloaf.
Where'd you see Meatloaf?
At a place called Wolf
And you love him.
Oh my God.
A place called what?
A place called Wolf Trap. The problem was he had a bad hip. and he couldn't move. He had to sit, and it's like you go to a rock show to capture your teenage.
Well, and I've got you on film singing that song, right?
So,
Ain't no doubt about it.
You go to this show and you realize this guy's an old man. What the hell? That means, wait, if he's old, I'm old too. This is not good. It was very sad.
Well, I saw Tom Jones at the Cape Cod Melody Tent.
Did you grab his underwear?
And
Did he throw underwear to you?
Well, okay, so talk about age, right? First of all, he sounded fantastic. I mean, he sounded incredible, but his hair was jet black. His eyebrows were jet black. And it was a summer night.
Right.
So it's all like, all the dye is coming down. Yeah. He dropped his arm, literally sweat poured out his sleeve like someone took a glass of water. So they were throwing underwear on the stage, right? So at one point he picks it up and he holds it up and it's nanny panties, you know those big ones?
Yeah.
He goes, 20 years ago, these were a lot smaller.
Yeah.
So that's what happens, right? I saw Wayne Newton, who was awesome in Vegas. I saw Bruce Willis played a club in Boston.
Did he was Bruno?
He wasn't Bruno. Oh. No, it was his third album. But it was a small venue. I think it probably it was probably 300 people.
Were they selling wine coolers?
It was awesome, and he was great.
Seagram's Golden Wine.
Golden Wine Coolers. That's his first commercial.
One of the best ones I went to was Paul McCartney, and that's the first time.
Yeah.
And Wings, and that's the first time I had seen such a multi-generational group of people, like from teenagers all the way up to 70-year-olds, and everybody loving the music.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool to see, and to see him and Bruce Springsteen.
That's a concert I'd like to see. You've seen Bruce Springsteen
3-4 times, and
I've never seen him.
That's the only religious experience I've ever had is at a Bruce Springsteen.
I'm not a diehard Bruce Springsteen. I like some of his stuff, but I would have loved to have seen him in concert. It's the same thing like the Stones
back in the USA.
Okay, so that's with that big album. That was huge.
1984.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah. And I remember
but like U2,
I was
Stones.
I was at the Capitol Center here in D.C. I was in the very top row, banging my hands through the ceiling at this thing, just like, because he plays for 4 hours. And
I know.
It's just an amazing experience. And
have you ever seen the Stones?
No. Nope. Someone took me to a Grateful Dead concert. That was a whole different vibe. And
were they all alive, or was it?
It was when they were still alive, and I wasn't a big fan at all. But my neighbor wanted to bring me.
Was he a Deadhead?
Oh yeah. He cataloged all their stuff. I think he was writing a book about them and things.
Oh wow!
And it turns out there are a lot of Deadheads, and that's the craziest. I mean, that was just all marijuana. That was amazing.
Well, yeah.
This is the thing.
Bill Walton of the Celtics, huge Deadhead. He took Larry Bird. Larry Bird, like, what the hell is this about?
But since I've been doing the CD thing, like you mentioned, Huey Lewis.
Yeah.
I was never a big Huey Lewis fan, and now I am. Now I just find his music, and part of it is the movie that Christian Bale did, Psycho. American Psycho. Where he
American Psycho.
He does that scene.
Patrick Bateman.
He does that scene with the Huey Lewis song, and
where he's analyzing it.
Yeah, but since I'm collecting CDs again, I go and buy these best of albums and compilations, and I'm rediscovering these people that I wasn't a huge fan of back in the day. Obviously, I have tons of Queen. I got all that stuff. Billy Joel out the wazoo. I said, I haven't moved beyond. I haven't grown past probably 1975. Taste-wise.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. But
what about U2? Do you like U2?
No. Never was a big U2 fan. Cheap Trick, I'm now into.
Cheap Trick?
Yeah, I have a best of, and it's just killing me how good they are. And I had
how
no
about
idea.
the Knack? Do you like the Knack?
Knack's okay. They don't want my Sharona. That's about it. But
and we didn't mention, of course, because it's a no-brainer. But the Beatles. In fact, we've always been big fans of the Beatles, and I think I have almost all their albums. But when we had to watch that movie yesterday, it made you realize how much of their music is ingrained in our lives. It's like you don't realize it. When you really sit back and think about it, you realize it. But watching that movie made me realize how important their music is. Yeah. So I don't want to undermine them at all. But I like early Beatles. I like Meet the Beatles. Yeah. I like when they first, on the Ed Sullivan Show when they were young. I mean, I like their stuff in the late 60s, but their early stuff for me is what I listen to all the time. And I love the Beach Boys. I've seen the Beach Boys a ton of times. In fact, we went on a 50s cruise, a Time Life 50 cruise with Ralph's company. And because my wife and I had a special room, we got second row of a Beach Boys concert that was supposed to be outside, but because of rain, they had it inside. So we were right there, and they were awesome. John Stamos played for them. He played the guitar and played the drums.
Quite a handsome
But the important
man.
thing, you know what, Ralph? I am not ashamed to say he was strikingly handsome.
That's a
and I don't know
beautiful
how
dude.
old he is.
And he's my
He's in
age.
his 50s.
Yeah, he's my
Yeah,
age.
he is your age?
And he looks like
I mean,
that.
he looked
It's
great.
insane.
And Mike Love looked great.
Yeah.
I mean, they sounded great.
Yeah.
That's a pretty amazing concert because you know all their songs. And back to Huey Lewis on the news for a second, because he doesn't sing anymore because he's got health problems, which is too bad. But what I liked about Huey Lewis, same thing about Billy Joel. When you go to their concerts, they sound like when you listen to their albums. You know, it's not all like Madonna, who I like. I think Madonna's talented, but when you go see her concert, it's all, you know, it's all reverb and all.
Well, have you
put
gone?
through.
Have you gone to a Madonna show?
Never.
So
I
how-
wouldn't go to a Madonna show.
Well, how do you know that then?
Because you can tell. You can tell when they show her concerts on TV and stuff. You can tell they're doing all kinds of stuff. A lot of vocalists do that, and that's okay. I mean, I get why they do it.
Well, they can't
like, when
recreate. I mean, those guys are singing like Billy Joel. He's a piano. He's, you know, like Queen had to. They couldn't do Bohemian Rhapsody. They'd have to play the backtrack for that.
No, that's true.
So,
but
and
that's
you can't
different.
create
That's
what
different.
you can create in a studio, obviously.
But I like that when you go to hear somebody, you want them to sound like what you're listening to.
Another sad
and some-
concert I went to,
sometimes
I saw Styx and Foreigner in a field in Maryland.
How old are those guys?
It was old. I mean,
How
this
old
was,
were
but
they?
again, this was, I have to say, this was almost 20 years ago, and it was sad
Oh,
then.
jeez.
But I did date somebody who dated Tommy Shaw, so I felt like I was a couple degrees from Styx.
So you were with a groupie.
Well, she might have been a groupie.
Yeah.
Could have been.
And she ended up your groupie.
Nah, not really. I couldn't play the guitar or anything.
I thought you taught yourself how to play the guitar.
I thought
Or was that the keyboard?
one song? I learned.
Yeah, you
Happy
usually
Birthday.
learn one song on an
I
instrument.
learned a one-string Happy Birthday. That's what I learned.
Ah.
I can't. My fingers
So-
are too sausagey to. I can't do the thing.
But you don't, because you've brought this up in past podcasts. When you work, you don't listen to music. You listen to movies, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, I'm the opposite. So I got headphones on, or I got the music blasting in my office. And actually, when I used to read on airplanes, I used to have music
I
blasting
don't know
all
how
the
you
time.
can do that. How do you do that?
I don't know. I like it though. I find it very comforting, and it doesn't distract me at all, depending on what the music is, you know.
Yeah, I don't.
But I music's a big part of it. My wife gets mad at me because I got one of those little Amazon Echoes.
Yeah.
You know the little round ones?
Yeah.
They look like hockey pucks. Well, they make a battery pack for it. So now I bring it into the bathroom when I'm taking a shower. I crank it up. I'm cranking the music in there. She goes, "Can't you take a shower without listening to music?" I go, "No, it just makes it such a, I like to be happy.
I have a waterproof cassette player that I bring in there. Wet
So
tunes.
you're playing cassettes in
I
there?
think it's called Wet Tunes or something. Sure. Sure.
Wet tunes.
I'm telling you, I have a complete obsolete museum over here. Nothing I have is made after 1985, probably. And I
But
I
I
don't
want to know,
There's yeah.
how often do you listen to tapes?
You know, I have a tape cassette. I have a player in my desk in my room. I'll just slap a tape in there. I told you I got the one that is a Bluetooth speaker,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
it's also I can record.
Yeah, it looks like a little portable.
Yeah, it looks like a
cassette player,
radio.
right? Yeah.
It's cassette, and I can actually record to an SD card from the cassette player. It's very exciting.
It's very
Yeah,
exciting.
listen, I don't take a Walkman out because I don't rock a Walkman, cassette Walkman. I mean, I guess if I found one, I would. But there's some. It just reminds me of the '70s, which to me
Yeah.
was a very happy time and very innocent and very just.
Well, especially
Carefree.
especially early 70s.
You keep saying that, but
We
there's
were
some
too
great-
young for Viet.
Well,
Well,
yeah,
you said up till 75, Ralph. That's early 70s.
I said when I think my music taste started in '75, but yeah, because I can remember.
Well, you
bringing
did when you were in 6th grade. You guys did a show and at Gibbon School. And I think one of the songs you did was Cover of the Rolling Stone,
That's right.
That was part of your slideshow or whatever.
Right.
So what year was that?
That was actually not Gibbons. That was parochial school, I believe.
No, that was not parochial school.
I don't. So
Ralph,
that would have been.
You didn't do that at St. Mary's. I can tell you that right now.
I had a hippie for a teacher. Mr. O'Leary was a hippie. Fifth grade.
I remember Mr. O'Leary.
He had a beautiful wife. She looked like Cher. I was in love with her. Oof. She was beautiful. Long black hair. Looked like Cher. It could have been Cher for all I know. Yeah, Cover of the Rolling Stones. Like, that's the other one. Who does that? Dr. Hook. Like I said, I'm finding all these. These are all CDs I probably owned at one time and I gave away, and now I'm buying them all back, which is just insane.
Do you think thinking about our appreciation of music, because music was a big part of our life growing up because of Dad.
Well, we listened to it all the time.
Well, but we also, if you remember, grandmother and father's 50th. We did a Partridge Family thing on stage.
That's because
with my father, he was like the stage dad.
He thought he thought we were going to be the new Jacksons, for God's sakes.
But he used to. I mean, we would go to church and he'd be playing Moody Blues,
right?
And Johnny Cash,
listen,
right?
Those are two albums that Days of Future
Folsom
Past.
Prison, by the way. Folsom
Prison. That Live from Folsom Prison and Days of Future Past are two albums that he played over and over and over that are now in my head. And I have happy memories of them. They don't he was in a Days of Future. I remember
it was an 8-track.
I remember this memory I have of me yelling at him at some wedding because he requested Proud Mary. And I said, why do we have to listen to a religious song at this wedding? And he just looked at me and said, you're such an ass. You have no idea what you're talking about. Turns out I Can Tina Turner Proud Mary. He's playing that. I'm like, holy shit, that was hip. Days of Future Past. The only reason he got that was because it's an orchestra. He didn't.
Right, exactly.
Now, Johnny Cash, you understand, Folsom Prison Blues is a great album. I can see why that.
He also played Sammy Davis Jr. live.
He played it over and over and over. And then once he discovered Grease, oh my God, Grease was playing all the time.
Well, because Ralph, come on, ring the bell. I was in Grease. That's why.
God, yeah.
But yeah, and he also used to play. He used to wake us up in the morning with John Philip Sousa blasting through the stereo system.
Right.
So I think that, and Steve is a very talented musician. He can play just about anything. So I think that was, I think my dad got us involved with that. Now I will say my mother got me hooked on oldies because I remember this. The first album she ever bought me was a K-Tel album. And it was a 50s compilation album with 4 pictures on the front of it. It was purple. I remember it vividly. And then the following year, she got me a box of Elvis 45s. I think there was 20 in there.
Wow.
And that's when I really got hooked on Elvis. And I still like the movies and stuff, but that's where I really got hooked. And I've been doing Elvis ever since.
Mom was cool back then. She bought me a poster.
She was.
It was a black and white poster. A guy on a donkey. She said he's smoking something, and the caption was, "You're in cannabis country." She had no idea. She
my mother had no clue.
Look at the pretty leaves.
And everyone would come in, wow, your mom's so
That's
cool.
so pretty with all the green, and I don't know what he's smoking, but I wish I had that poster now. And Delilah, somebody always singing in the backyard. Dad would have parties.
Well,
mom and dad have parties, and they'd be singing in the backyard. And
so they'd have
famously, we couldn't jump into a pool until we sang a song. So music was both a curse and a delight in our family.
Well, our folks used to have parties. We had an organ for Steve, a dual keyboard organ, and my dad played the banjo. My grandfather played the banjo, and my Uncle Lou played the harmonica. So they used to have these late night parties, and they'd wake up Steve at like midnight. I don't know how old he was. Steve, come down here and play the organ, and they'd all get on there with their banjos and the harmonica, and they'd sing Delilah and all this other stuff. So music was a big part of our lives.
Interestingly enough, they paid for us to get music lessons, and they got me accordion lessons because that's going to go.
Yeah, they got. Far. I went 1 year for clarinet lessons, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. Yeah. So I am not music. I can sing, but I can't play an instrument. I wish I could. I wish I could play the guitar. That's what I've got a bunch of them too. I just can't play any of them, which is sad. No. So anyway, that was it. I just thought that would be interesting to talk about music a little bit. Oh, by the way, I do like classical too. Every now and then I like to just turn everything off and listen to some classical music. Mozart especially. But that I really like that a lot too. So it's really all over the place, except for current music. I don't listen to current music. I don't listen to top 40, and I really never have. So anyway, so that's our show tonight. But listen, if you like the musical theme,
don't forget,
hey, subscribe. Oh wait! So you're gonna do that before subscribe?
No, we'll do
you're gonna
subscribe
push
too.
the other
in case
show
you want to see some
before
good stuff.
subscribing
There you go,
to our.
Quest.
Well, listen. I mean, Ralph, do me a favor. I appreciate you pushing the other show, okay? But and I encourage people to watch that show. But please help us out here. Subscribe to it. Hit the notification button and share this, especially if you know anyone who likes music. Because this show, again, we go all over the place, and this was an interesting one talking about music. Because again,
yeah, but you know what's
earlier,
interesting? Neither one of us, like, there are music people out there who are insanely, into every note that happens. We're kind of, I think we're the same, where we're kind of surface level. We like what we like, but I don't think we do huge deep dives into, like, people who are really into music. Like.
Well, I mean,
when the punk scene was out, and people are just.
No. I know what I like.
We're
That's
very
what I
general.
to.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'd call it general. Listen to Glenn Miller, Ralph. That's not general.
Glenn Miller. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy. I can't
Well,
believe
I do. I listen to Glenn Miller. I love Glenn Miller.
Insane. Glenn Miller.
Mozart. I mean, come on.
Do you ever hear a guy named, what's the other guy? Amadeus. What was him? Is that his name?
Yeah, Amadeus.
Help me, Amadeus. Yeah.
Anyway, so
surface, like
listen,
I said, surface level.
If you like music, share this. Okay, it really does make a difference in the algorithm. It does help us out. So, okay, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching.
Think about that movie yesterday. What if the world did not have Cue It Up with the Q Brothers? You think anybody would notice?
I don't know why you undermine the show all the time. You're constantly undermining it, and you're pushing every other show in the Red Production umbrella.
Should we show it again? Which show are you talking about?
This is the show. This is the show that I care about the most because it's about family. Okay,
La Familia.
All right.
Good.
Obviously, you don't feel the same way.
About family or the show?
Have you even subscribed to this webcast? That's what I want to know.
I have. Oh, okay. Because
okay.
I know I don't do enough. I know I don't.
Mom and Dad haven't.
I know I don't do enough for it, but I get it.
I want to see the logo to this show twice on the Streamcast podcast tonight. All right.
Yeah,
no excuses.
It doesn't have as good a smooth logo as the other one.
Oh, well, we'll make it.
Yeah.
All right, then I'll just hold up signs or something.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'll do.
Do that.
All right, hey everyone, thanks for watching. We're going to go back to our weekly format. Ralph might not want to, but on the weeks he doesn't want to do it, I'm just going to do a solo one. I actually want to do a solo one on Justice League because apparently people felt I deep dived too much into it in some of the other shows. I want to deep dive into it on my own because I got a lot more to say about it, but that's for another time. So again, thanks for watching. I hope everybody's staying safe, and the weather's getting better and spring's right around the corner. So enjoy yourself. Have a great week, and Ralph, we'll talk to you soon.
All right, stay safe. Talk to you soon.